Hello students, I am R. Mukherjee. Today we are going to study a lesson of geography, that is resource and development. I have made 4 videos on this lesson. In part 1, I explained the meaning of resource and difference between natural resource and man-made resource, and how human resource is important in the process of resource development. Now in this video I am going to explain what are natural resources and classification of natural resources. So let us start. So what is natural resource, or what are natural resources? Now, natural resources are resources that exist in nature without any action of humankind. It means that the natural resources occur naturally, and it is present in the natural world, and there is no role of humankind to create that resource. Humans only extract resources from their natural settings. For example, wood we collect from forest is natural resource, but furniture we make of wood is not. So it's very clear that natural resources occur in nature without human intervention. For example, iron ore is natural resource, but steel is man-made. Similarly, river water is natural resource, but bottled mineral water is not. Crude oil, for example, is natural resource, but diesel is not. So we can classify natural resources on the basis of their origin, exhaustibility or availability, ownership and development. So classification on the basis of origin means where that resource is originated from. So that is called origin, or where the resource is derived from. So that on that basis the natural resources are divided into biotic and abiotic. I will explain it. On the basis of exhaustibility, resources are divided into renewable and non-renewable resources. Similarly, on the basis of ownership, the resources are divided into individual resource, community resource, national resource and international resource. Now community resource means your house is a individual resource means your house, your land, they are all your own individual resource, because you are the owner of that house, so it is individual resource. And community resource is maybe park or community hall or health club, like that. National resource is all forest, railway, roads, national or highway or state highways. International resource means the ocean. Here I would like to explain it. Like if you talk about India, and you know the southern part of India is surrounded by ocean. So it is an international rule that from the land boundary up to 12 nautical miles, it is the part of the ocean is part of that country, compulsory part, and from that point 200 nautical miles is called, the ocean is called special economic zone, and after 200 nautical miles the ocean is actually international resource because any country can use that ocean. I hope that you understand. I will explain it in my next video. On the basis of development means potential developed resource or stock resource or reserves. So I will also explain it later on. Today I am going to actually explain these two classifications. First is on the basis of origin and second is on the basis of exhaustibility. So let us start. First is on the basis of origin. Resources can be divided into two groups, that is biotic and abiotic. Students, ever since the earth was inhabited, humans and other life forms have depended on things that exist freely in nature to survive. These things include air, water, food from plants and animals, sunlight, minerals, land, soil, and fossil fuels. They are the basis of life on the earth. All these useful substances are called natural resources. For systematic study of resources, we classify them on the different bases. And one of the basis of their classification is to classify them on the basis of their origin. So, on the basis of origin, the resources are classified as biotic resource and abiotic resource. Now let us first understand what is biotic resource. Now biotic resource is also called organic resource. The term biotic is referred to all living things, the living parts of the ecosystem. Substances derived from living things or living things themselves constitute biotic resources. For example, animals, forests, fish, substances derived from them such as wood, coal, oil, mineral oil are examples of biotic resources. Human resource is also biotic resource, and substances derived from non-living things constitute abiotic resources. They are obtained from other than biosphere, that is lithosphere or hydrosphere, atmosphere, or even natural objects like sun. So land or soil, air, water, sunlight, minerals are examples of biotic resources. So let us have a test, okay? Now tell me, wood is biotic or abiotic resource? So wood is biotic, and it is biotic because it is derived from tree, which is living thing. Air is abiotic resource because air is non-living. Water is again abiotic because it is also non-living. Now tell me, iron is biotic or abiotic resource? Iron is also abiotic. Why? Because it is obtained from minerals and that is non-living. Okay, wool is biotic or abiotic resource? Wool is biotic or abiotic resource? It is biotic. Why? Because wool is derived from animal and that is living. So next is glass is biotic or abiotic? So glass is abiotic because it is obtained from non-living thing, non-living substances. Now coal is biotic or abiotic? Coal is biotic or abiotic? Coal is biotic because it is fossil of plants. It is formed out of fossils of plant formed due to high pressure and temperature in millions of years. Now tell me, crude oil or mineral oil is biotic or abiotic? It is again biotic, because it is again fossil fuel. It is obtained actually, it is actually formed of dead animals. So now I hope that you understand what is biotic and abiotic. Now let me explain the second classification, that is on the basis of availability or exhaustibility. There is renewable and non-renewable resources. Now let us first understand what are renewable resources. Renewable resources are those resources that are naturally replenished or renewed in short interval of time. I repeat it, renewable resources are those resources that are naturally replenished in a short interval of time. For example, water, wind, sunlight, forest, animals. Now here I must point out one very important thing, that when we divide the resources on the basis of availability, we are dividing the natural resources. So here when we say renewable, it can be both biotic, abiotic. For example, water is abiotic, wind is abiotic, sunlight is abiotic, but forest and animal is biotic resource. But they are renewable resource. Why? Because they are naturally renewed. And what are non-renewable resource? Non-renewable resources will finish and will not be replenished in our lifetime or even many lifetimes. I repeat, non-renewable resources will finish, means exhaust. Once it is used, it is finished, and will not be replenished or renewed in our lifetime, and or even in many lifetime. It will take to replenish millions of years. So it is called non-renewable. For example, minerals, oil and coal. Now here again you see the both, biotic, abiotic. So minerals are abiotic, oil and coal are biotic because they are fossil fuels. So I hope you understand. Now let us understand. I put here a question for you. Can we imagine our life without electricity? Can we imagine our life without electricity? Yes or no? No. Why? Because right from our computers, television to large machines, everything is run on electricity. And therefore, electricity is important for our life. So we cannot imagine our life, or even we can say we cannot imagine survive nowadays without electricity. So, therefore, electricity is very important for our life. Now, how do we generate electricity? That is the next question for you. How do we generate electricity? Now, there are three major resources for generating electricity. They are water, coal, and wind. This is very interesting. But there is a basic difference. There is a basic difference in these three resources. You will have to understand it. There is an unlimited supply of water and wind. There is unlimited supply of water and wind on our earth. Water is replenished or renewed naturally because of water cycle. It does not get exhausted. It is naturally renewed or replenished because of water cycle. Water evaporates, condensed as rainfall, recharge the groundwater and water bodies. So, water is always available on earth. Wind or air is also available and inexhaustible. So we can say that both water and wind have unlimited supply and are renewable. I hope that you get the idea what is renewable. We also get electricity from coal other than wind and water. But coal is also natural resource, but there is a difference. There is a difference because coal is found under the ground and there is limited deposit of coal on the earth. So you must understand it to understand the concept of renewable and non-renewable resource. So we have limited supply of coal. And once we use the present coal deposit, or in other words, we can say that if coal deposits get exhausted, we will have no coal to use not only in our lifetime but also in near future, because it will take millions of years to form coal. It is fossil fuel, Okay? So I hope that you understand the difference between renewable. Renewable means, again I repeat, the resources that are naturally replenished and have unlimited supply. And non-renewable means which is in limited supply and cannot be replenished. It will take millions of years to replenish or be renewed. So now there is a time for test. But before the test, I would like to explain a few more points. Students, you understood that on the basis of exhaustibility or availability, we divide the resources into two groups, renewable and non-renewable resources. I have already explained about them, but non-renewable resources can further be divided as recyclable and non-recyclable. Now, recyclable non-renewable resources means that the resources which has limited supply and going to finish, but the material we used can be recycled and reused. For example, plastic, iron, copper and other metals. Now, if we have iron or steel, we can melt it and reuse it. Similarly, we can reuse plastic. So, they are called recyclable, non-renewable resources. They are non-renewable because they have limited supply and availability, but they can be recycled and reused. But non-recyclable and non-renewable resources are those which have very limited supply. For example, coal, iron are fossil fuels. Okay, crude oil, coal, they are fossil fuels, and they have limited supply, limited deposits, but they cannot be recycled. Once they are burnt, they are finished, because we use them as a fuel, so they are burnt, and once they are burnt, they are finished. So I hope you understood. This is a very simple point, but you will have to remember this, that non-renewable resources can be recyclable and as well as non-recyclable. So my next point is another point I want to make here, that renewable and non-renewable resources can be either biotic or abiotic. If its source of origin is living thing, then and if it is renewable, then we call it biotic renewable resource. For example, plants and animals. Now, plants and animals, are renewable resource because they renew themselves. They are multiplied, so they renew. So it is called, plants and animals are renewable resources. And since their origin is they are living thing, so they are called biotic renewable resources. But at the same time, you see, water and air, they are also renewable, but they are abiotic renewable resources. Similarly, if you see any non-renewable resource like coal and crude oil, just we have talked here, that they are non-recyclable, so they are also biotic. Their origin is living thing, plants and animals. So coal and crude oil are biotic, called biotic non-renewable resources. But iron and copper are abiotic non-renewable resources. So you will have to remember these terms. Now, students, this is the time for a small test. Okay. So now the first question is, petrol and LPG gas, LPG are renewable resources, yes or no? Petrol, LPG are renewable resources. No. The answer is no. Why? Because both are non-renewable, because like coal, they are also fossil fuel. Now, why do we call them non-renewable? Because they have limited supply. They are made of the remains of dead plants and animals in millions of years. So coal and oil, crude oil and gas, they are all non-renewable resource. You will have to remember this. Now next is, plants and animals are renewable resource, yes or no? Yes, they are renewable because plants grow and multiply, and animals also multiply, so they are renewable. Iron and steel are non-renewable resources, yes or no? Yes. They are non-renewable because they also have limited deposit and cannot be replenished in near future. It takes millions of years to form these minerals, so they are non-renewable. Now next is, plastic is non-renewable resource, yes or no? Plastic is non-renewable resource, yes. Plastic is also non-renewable because plastic, the source of plastic is again crude oil, coal, etc. Okay, so since petrol and oil are non-renewable, so plastic is also non-renewable. Now, question number 5. Coal, oil are recyclable resource. Recyclable, I explained, that means it can be reused. Okay, so coal and oil are recyclable resource. Yes or no? No, they are not recyclable. They are non-recyclable, because once they are used as a fuel, they are fossil fuel, and once they are burnt, they are finished. So they are not recyclable. Iron, steel, plastic are recyclable. Yes or no? Iron, steel, plastic are recyclable resource. Yes, they can be recycled and they can be melted and recycled. Okay, so they are recyclable. So thank you, children, for listening. I hope you understood. If you have any question, you can contact me. Thank you.